let's talk about goals. Why should you set goals, first of all? Well, here's the deal. A goal is an end result. It's something you're going for. If you don't have a goal, it's something as simple as like you're going to just drive. You're going to take a Sunday drive and you want to go see the countryside. I find that, frankly, kind of boring because you don't have a destination. You don't know what is it you exactly want to see? What do you want to come back with? But if you set a goal for yourself, even like, okay, I'm going to go to this, like Hans, he's going to go do a mountain run, 100 miles. That's a goal. That's a pretty amazing goal. But he sets himself a goal and he comes back with having accomplished something. And that's a rewarding experience. I used to teach mountaineering and we always had goals. We had goals for the entire 30 days that we took students out. We had goals for interim, like we're going to climb this peak and we're going to get up at 3 a.m, which you often have to do because you need to get to the top by a certain time. You need to be able to get down and before the thunderstorms hit, for instance. A lot of in Colorado and Wyoming, there's a lot of huge thunderstorms that hit in the afternoon. You do not want to be on a mountain at that time. So you start at 3 a.m. and you start with headlights and your goal is to get to the top by, say, 11 a.m. and then climb down. So you have a couple hours to climb down. You're back at the base by 1. But if you didn't set those goals, you could really get in trouble. And I have been on mountain rescues, by the way, and that's how people do get in trouble. They don't know what they're doing. They don't set proper goals. They don't come with proper equipment. Because once you set the goal, it also tells you what else you need. What equipment are you going to bring on this particular shoot? Are you shooting with a GoPro? Are you shooting with your mirrorless? Are you shooting with an iPhone? That comes from your goal. What do I want to do? Maybe you want to go out and only shoot with an iPhone, but come away with really professional photographs. Great. Cool. But have that equipment ready and know where you're going. Goals are so important. Short, medium, and long range. And today we're really just going to be talking about what are your goals for 2022? And I want you guys to be setting them now. And I have done that. I have a document that I actually write every year. And it's right here, very detailed. It's at the top, you see goals, but then I get into all the details of how I'm going to achieve these goals. And this was written January 1st. I started writing it before. All my details, my strategic plans in here. And I refer to it all the time. This is a working document. That's a mistake people can make is like, yeah, I set my goals and then, they're on the refrigerator or they're in a drawer. No, this is a roadmap. This tells me where I'm going and I refer to it often. And Jared knows that every week I refer to it. We go through what are we going to do this week to accomplish those goals? That's really important. Okay, so I wrote a blog post actually that's going to cover the points I'm mentioning here. You guys don't have to look at it now, but I would like you after the show, read it over because it'll give you the points I'm making. And also, it's just a good reference and a good guide for you. So, Jared, I think you've already got it in there. It'll be in the description as well. Hi, Hector. Wow, great to see you. So, an assignment that I have given in my physical workshops when people show up is I often ask them to go out and make sure that you're making, not taking, making images that you wouldn't normally make. Now, this is the first thing I want to talk about in terms of setting goals. You got to step out into the next thing. It's an interesting dance, and I'm going to talk about this probably a lot in the coming year. There's a dance in terms of creativity, and part of the dance is this. You have to get really good at something. You have to refine it and really get good at it. I'm going to use the Beatles as an example. One of the reasons they exploded into the world in about 1963 is that between 1961 and 62, I think for 2 years, they were in Hamburg, unknown group, but they were playing like 10 hours a day. Now imagine that. I think 7 days a week. I mean, it was crazy. So they're playing, performing like 70 hours a week, week after week after week after week. So they honed their craft, and they got really good at these really in their repertoire with very simple songs, but they became so powerful because they really had those things down. Now that's one half of the equation. Don't go skipping around all over the place so you don't have a focus. You should get really good at something, whatever that genre is. Go for it. Really dial in on it. If it's landscapes, really, really get good at your landscape photography. If it's portraiture, really get good at it. Whatever it is. But now, having done that, you're going to think I'm contradicting myself, but I'm not. Again, using the Beatles, once they really perfected their sound and their craft, they did something that no other group ever did that I'm aware of. They basically reinvented themselves with each new album. Every album was very different from the last one. But they could do that because they had the foundation of their craft so well down that they could explore new presentations of their music. And I want you to have these two things in balance. I want you to first of all, know your craft, really hone it down, get it dialed in, and also go into an exploration. You should be exploring new things. Otherwise, if you're just plagiarizing yourself, as Bob Holmes puts it, you're just recapturing the same photograph over and over again. I'm guilty of that. Come on. I love shooting photographs of my dog or sunsets or whatever, but I don't consider that my art for the most part. I really don't. I mean, I'll throw those out on social media, but that isn't my art. My art really is where I'm trying to find new ways of expressing myself. That's important, because if you just keep on doing the same thing, like what if the Beatles never moved out of that first, set list that they had perfected in Hamburg, and that's all they ever did? Well, they would have probably had some popularity, but it would have faded because we'd go, well, I kind of heard that before. And there are some artists, I'm not going to name, and I'm sure you can think of them too, where I feel like record number 1 and record number 10 are not that very different. They're just different words. Music sounds about the same. It's just kind of, I think I've heard this before. And they're not huge. Maybe they're well liked, but they're not in the stratosphere the way the Beatles were, because they had that amazing talent coupled with stretching their creativity. And this is how you can really stretch your creative muscles. I'm going to tell you right now, one of my goals for this year, I have written a book on creativity, as you probably know, but I'm going to take it a step further. So in this book, I do explore what creativity is all about. I'm going to get into more nuts and bolts of creativity, almost like a recipe book for creativity. Try this out. Try this, composition technique. Try this lighting. Do this, do that, so that you can try these things out, but also explore some of the greats. Like, what are their nuts and bolts that got them there? I'm giving you like the Beatles as an example, but there's same thing with photographers. Ansel Adams is a good example. I mean, his exploration and his perfection was of landscapes. Now, he had some beautiful portraiture, but we don't really think of Ansel Adams as a portrait photographer. He was a landscape photographer, and he took that to be his brand, and he used it to actually further his cause, which was environmental protection. Incredible environmentalist, because he was showing people the beauty of the world. So go out and capture things that you wouldn't normally see. Please subscribe and enable the bell so you don't miss any of our new shows. Like the video and please share it and leave your comments. I love hearing from you. And remember to get out and capture your own images of life.